Hello everybody, this is Fernando for the latest Cryptids of the Week video. So I thought I would mix this one in while I was doing some more of the mysteries and oddities videos. This one having to do with yet another random page from the cryptids.wikia.com webpage. And in this case, it probably suggested the most perverted cryptid yet. I mean, looking at this information, I don't recall any other cryptid or monster that I've talked about before where it was this perverted. I mean, this is something that would be a textbook case of sexual harassment lawsuits, sexual harassment filings at work, whatever is the case. So this is absolutely, I mean, this was a doozy reading this information. Makes you wonder how some cryptids are the way that they are, if they're truly out there in this world. And it has to do with this. You're looking at it now, very distinct looking cryptid. Almost looks like Toad from, in this case, the Super Mario Brothers games, but it goes by the name of Trenti. And so here's all the information associated with this cryptid. So what is this Trenti? Well, it's a creature that's found in Cantabria, Spain, to be specific. It has been there for so long, in fact, that it is part of their mythology. It just goes to show that some cryptids, they have been passed down for so long, so many generations, that to them, the people that live around that area, they're pretty much just another fact of life, almost as common as, let's say, coming across a species of tree or coming across a species of animal, anything along those lines. It has very distinct features that make it stand out immediately. For starters, its most unique feature happens to be its size. It's considered an imp-like creature because of its stature. To give you an example, it's probably about the size of a little over 2 feet, to be precise. So if you're coming across this creature, it'll definitely stand out, almost dwarf-like. Its weight is also supposed to be pretty tiny, just a couple of pounds, maybe 12 pounds at most. So very, very light creature. But by far the most distinct features are how it looks like whatever it has surrounding its body and its clothing, whatever is the case. For starters, it has a very, very, very dark skin, almost jet black skin, and this is supposed to be because it uses this feature to hide within the forest. That's its most powerful, I guess you could call it, weapon, or its most powerful advantage is the fact that it can completely meld into the background of any type of forest. Very hard to spot because of everything that it has on it. So whenever, and this is because it lives deep within those forests. They are in Cantabria, Spain. It does not associate with any other type of, let's say, homes or anything like that nearby people. Instead, no, it's very, very deep within the forest. So if you're ever there in Cantabria, Spain, and you happen to be way, way, way into the forest itself, then you are within its territory. So another thing that it uses is it has this camouflage, and it uses pretty much the forest itself to dress in its manner. For example, it covers itself in leaves, in moss, in roots. It covers itself in mushrooms as well, vines, branches, basically whatever is there around its environment, it can use it to pretty much shield and make itself as clothing. And it seems like it makes its clothing human-like. Like it covers, of course, like the distinct private parts like any other human would, while leaving other parts like the arms, the legs, visibly open. And then sometimes like it uses like some kind of makes like a makeshift hat on top of its head, again all with stuff related to the forest as well. Its eyes are also pretty distinct. It's supposed to have these radiant green eyes. So if you ever see something like you're in that forest and you feel like something is staring at you, but you can't quite spot it, but then you see these two distinct global like green type eyes, then you know you're in the presence of a Trenti. And then as far as like how it acts, especially around humans, first off, I'll explain this. It loves to prank. It loves to be a jokester. It loves absolutely just fooling around with humans and anyone that happens to come across its territory. For example, Anyone that does so, because it blends so well within its environment, people won't see it, probably even within like an earshot of this creature. And so what it does is it loves just hiding in plain sight, waiting for the right moment, and then boom, it just jumps out right out of the bushes and scares the bejesus out of everyone that's there, and then it just quickly runs off. Like, that seems to be its trick. It absolutely loves creating that type of jump scare for humans. Now, as far as its perverted stance, like I was mentioning earlier, probably the most perverted cryptid out there happens to do with this, and this is its speciality. It loves sneaking up on women, but for one distinct reason. It loves pulling up their skirts. So if it sees a woman nearby its area, especially if she's wearing a skirt, it'll target the woman first, and then it'll creep up on her, or wait for the woman to inadvertently come by its area, and then once it's there, it'll pull up the woman's skirt, just like any other pervert would out there in this world, and then probably leer and then run off as quickly as possible. Obviously, of course, the woman just freaking out at what occurred, not just at her skirt being pulled up, but also with regards to seeing that it was done by this Trenti, by this imp-like creature, just running off into the woods thereafter. So 2 for 1 essentially in terms of the scare factor for that encounter. And that seems to be the most common thing that it does. Like, it loves just targeting women for that regard. That's what I was mentioning earlier. Like, this is something like this would make like history when it comes to like sexual harassment lawsuits or anything along those lines, if this were your average workforce environment. No, but in this case, this just happens to be a cryptid, no less, that's doing this stuff, and then it just simply vanishes within the forest. Nothing else, though, as far as it being dangerous or outright malicious. No, it just simply likes pranking humans. It does seem to target children sometimes, because children just don't know any better, and so it loves scaring them as well. But nothing in terms of it being too malicious, too dangerous, too evil. Nothing along those lines. Like, it doesn't harm humans. It doesn't harm, do dangerous things, hunt humans, nothing like that. Not like some of the other cryptids I've talked about dwelling within the forest out there. So at least that's something related to it. Instead, it's just a prankster that in a lot of cases is a pervert, and it just enjoys getting that kind of stuff done. So, but that's it. That's pretty much all the information tied to this cryptid of the week, this Trenti. Anybody from that area there in Spain? Anybody happen to have relatives, friends, family members from Cantabria? If so, it'd be interesting to see if somebody knows more about this mythological creature there. Again, it must be so much part of its of the culture there, because of it being around, or the stories of it being around for so long. So it'd be interesting to see if anybody can point out that they have more experience on this creature. So, alright, everybody, thanks again as always. Take care.